Hello everybody, it's Mr. Matthew Does Coding, and welcome back to the Valley Devlog. This is episode 3, and I've jumped back into the main area so that we can start to expand what the players can do in the game and actually get some functionality. So, let's get right into it. The first biggest change, I think, to this entire game is the fact that I now have a functioning inventory system. So if you remember from episode 1, if you haven't seen it, there is a playlist on my channel. This is all the inventory was. It was just blank and you couldn't do anything with it. But now you can. So let me demonstrate this real quick. I'm gonna go over to here, and I'm going to pick up this molcajete, and I click on the inventory, and it's there. Super neat. And now when you leave the game, it'll even save what is in your inventory. So if I just hit stop here on the program, and then I boot it back up, you'll see that the molcajete will still be there in the first slot. So let's just wait for it to load real quick. Alright, then I click on this, and it's still there. So that's super cool. Took a very long time, but I got it working, and it's very smooth. Now let's talk about farming. So I have a farming system now that is fully functional. I'll demonstrate this by picking up one of these wild crops here. In this case, we have carrots. And I'm going to go over to this farming area over here on the other side of the map, and I'm going to plant this carrot. So you'll see when my mouse hovers over this, you get a little proximity prompt that says select crop. So if I hold down C, then this menu will pop up with slots for all the different types of seeds that you can possibly get. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to click on that, and you'll even see that in the chat, a message has popped up, planting carrot. And now we just have to wait for our carrot to grow up. This works with all different crops. Like I have wheat there that I just collected, so I can select wheat and then plant that down. And it takes one seed away from your inventory when you do so. On top of that, I've also added 2 new types of crops that weren't in the game previously. Here's one of the crops. It's potatoes. They look like this when they're fully grown, and you can tell that they're fully grown when you get the proximity prompt, and you'll see that there's all these little brown circles indicating that the potatoes are creating lumps in the dirt above. So I'm going to harvest this, and this potato texture was made by the wonderful YouTuber Zach Did Thing once again, so credit to him. And I have one more crop. I'm going to see if it's in here. It is indeed here. All the way over here in the corner is strawberries. Now strawberries are really unique because when you plant them down, you have a chance to either have the entire plant go away, or it'll just reset back a couple stages, because in real life, strawberries can go through cycles of growth where you can harvest them and then they can grow a couple more. So I'm going to plant a strawberry plant and a potato plant. They look like that when they're little babies. And we'll wait for that to grow too. You might have also noticed that while recording this, you've heard some bird noises like the ones that are going on right now, and maybe some rustling leaves as well. Added those sound effects to just add more ambience to the game, make you feel more immersed, and it kind of sets that peaceful vibe. Hey, editor me here. The audio was way too quiet for you to hear. I didn't realize that while recording, but I do now. So here's some enhanced audio of what the rustling leaves are supposed to sound like. I also changed the sky so that it looks more realistic. It now has clouds, and it's not just a blank sky, and the lighting has been changed just a little bit. Now let's talk about the terrain. So a couple of things I've changed about the terrain. I've gone around and I've cleaned up some little spots that just looked kind of messy, especially along the river. If you can see, the river is actually clean looking now, and it doesn't look like it was made by a 6-year-old. I went ahead and I removed all the water. I redid all the terrain under it, so now the terrain under it looks a lot cleaner. And then I went around and I made sure that all the water was the same height, and I just added the waves to give it that effect of it moving. Up by the waterfall as well, by the mountain, there's an inaccessible area with a pond up top, just as a kind of way to show that this water is coming from somewhere. You can kind of see it if you climb the mountain. It's right there. I might expand out the map at some point in the future, but for now, I think I'm going to stick with the size that I have right now. Going back to the river, at the end of the river, it doesn't just stop now. There's a mini pond here. So it looks a lot more natural and less weird, really. Also, dotted around the map, in the mountainous areas, you'll find caves. Now, these caves don't have anything inside of them yet, but my vision for these caves is it's a kind of just a place where you can settle down if you really want to. You can live out in the open in the nice plains, or you can live in a cave. So I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna find one of these caves to show you what I mean. Alright, I found a cave, and it's just a very dark area that's flat in the middle. So if you wanna, you can make a little settlement in here, and you can be away from whatever is going on in the main grassy area. So let's circle back now to the molcajete and also talk about the bucket. So I'll start with the molcajete. Its purpose is to grind things up. For example, I can select wheat right here, and it puts it in the little bowl, and I hit grind, and after it grinds for a little bit, then it turns the wheat into flour, and I can collect it, and then in my inventory, I have flour. Now with the bucket, its purpose is to create things like bread dough, which will eventually be implemented into this campfire system, where you'll go into the water here, and you'll fill the bucket up with water, and then you can add an item to it, but that's not fully done yet. And when you add flour into water, it'll create bread dough, and then you can put it over the campfire, and after a while, it'll create bread. Pretty simple. For our final thing, let's talk about the trees. So when I punch down a tree, you can hear the cracking of the tree as I'm trying to take it down. So that's just a little quality of life thing that I added. And once you chop it down, then something interesting will happen. Now that the tree fell, I'm left with this stump, and when I hover over the stump, then this little menu pops up, and it tells me what the tree is and how much of each item I'm gonna get. And then I click on it, and it gives me the items. And this works for all of the trees. And on top of that, the trees actually save now, so when I leave the game and join back, the trees will still be there. Alright, so now that I've hopped back into game, you can see that the tree stump is still here, despite me leaving the game and then joining back. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you did enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next Valley Devlog episode. Peace.